expert committee members. However, in the interest of time, we would like to start the fifth expert committee meeting. And to start off, we would like to have opening remarks from Mr. Kimura of ADB. Mr. Kimura, if you have the floor, please.
Welcome to this fifth expert committee meeting on climate resilient agriculture, low carbon food system in the ASEAN region. It has been more than a month since the last expert committee meeting. And between that, we also had some webinar to discuss the draft methodology more publicly. And I'm pleased to know there are a lot of comments, suggestions submitted to the Secretariat, and I'm sure the expert Secretariat has considered all those comments and revised the draft methodology in the Philippines. So today, again, this revised JMAFF application to this methane reduction in the water and rice productions in the Philippines on the table, and we hope experts, colleagues will reach total agreements on the methodology so that we can move forward and Secretariat and JMAFF side can formally apply to the ASEAN committee for the adoption. So, with that, I don't have much additional thoughts, but I really hope your contribution to this discussion. Thank you very much for all the colleagues traveling to Manila and also coming to the ADB again, and welcome. And to online participants, and thank you very much for joining us today. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kimura. Okay, so now I'd like to move to the agenda item for adoption of the agenda. Draft agenda was circulated prior to this expert committee meeting, and I hope you have the document in front of you. And the agenda, as usual, has today's discussion topics, and if there are no issues or comments, feedbacks on the draft agenda, we'd like to adopt the agenda as it is. If there are any comments, please raise your hand or speak up. Okay, hearing no objections, I'd like to adopt the agenda. Thank you very much. So I'd like to move on to the next agenda item, which is summary of EC's public hearing and feedback. Could you share the list of comments, public comments received, and feedbacks that we have prepared? We're trying to upload the file with you, so could you bear with us for a few seconds? Okay. Sorry, it's a little bit detailed and we're using small characters. But as you remember, these public comments listed here are categorized into each sections of the methodology that was presented to you and also to the public. And we gathered all the comments and then again categorized into the formats that we use for public comments. So yes, it is divided into section by section. And the list has the section for comments, which shows the original comments sent to the Secretariat. And also we have responses by the expert committee on the farthest left column. Okay, so there are quite few comments and responses organized in this list of comments. And certain comments we will reflect to the draft methodology. And some comments we won't reflect them on the methodology. And we will explain details of each comment. And I mean, not the comment, but the responses that we reflected to the draft methodology in the next agenda item. So I won't go into the details here, but there are certain comments sent to the Secretariat. For instance, the style of writing of the methodology and regulatory framework used under the JCM and structure of the methodology and those general comments. And also for each section, like starting from the, section A, B, you will see more technical comments that were sent to the Secretariat. As you recall, during the executive committee, expert committee, we discussed thoroughly on the depth of water level, which goes beyond minus 15 centimeters or not. And also, once again, for the public comments, we received a similar feedback. And if you go further down to the section B, yes, definition of drainage, yes, B4 and B5, we received recommendations on how the definition should be and clarification questions as well in B5. And based on these questions here, we realized that methodology needs further elaboration to clarify the terminology used or definitions used so that other third party, the project developers can understand easily the instructions given under the methodology and develop their own project design documents. So we did some modifications, to the draft methodology, and which will be explained later in this session, after this agenda item. And also, if you go to section D of eligibility criteria, we also received comments and recommendations. And some we do not reflect comments to the methodology, but some we will reflect recommendations or questions, and to clarify to answer to the comments, we modified some parts of the methodology as well. And if you go down further, okay, yes. For section E, we do not have any comments. And for section F, yes, we did have some comments. And once again, we made some changes to the methodology and to work on further clarification and clarity in the text. And okay, let's please go down further. And for the section G, we had comments, but we did not reflect this one. And for section HIM, we didn't have any comments. And for appendix A, we have quite a few comments again, and some are reflected into the appendix A. And for, if you go down further down to the next page, yes, we had some comments for other appendices as well, and also recommendations as well. But most of them we decided not to reflect to the appendix, except some. So as you can see, there were quite a few comments, and among the secretariat and some of the members, we discussed how to respond to these comments and questions, and we decided to some extent we try to elaborate the methodology, and for some comments we decided not to. So this is the overall summary of the list of public comments and responses we had. And I'm not going to the details here. I'm just giving you the overview of how many comments were received and how we are trying to deal or respond to these comments. So that's all for my explanation for this agenda item. So if you have any comments or questions, I'd like to take a few here. And just to remind you that we will get into the details later in this meeting. Okay. We don't see any hands. Okay, if not, we can come back anytime, but we'd like to move on to the next agenda item. Okay, so I'd like to explain the draft methodology, focusing on main changes that we did to the draft methodology. Okay, so I'd like to explain first the draft methodology. I mean, yes, the draft methodology that is uploaded on the screen is also the one that is circulated to the expert committee members prior to the AC5 meeting. And I'd like to remind you that this draft methodology is a clean copy, and we didn't send you the track change track copy, but because it was too I don't know how to say it was too complicated on the change that were made to the draft methodology. So I'd like to explain section by section the parts that we made revisions to the methodology. Okay. So for the definitions, we did certain editorial changes, but it's not major ones. So I'd like to skip the section B of definitions. And I'd like to go on to the section C. And here, the main changes that we made is the monitoring parameters at the bottom of the table, the last row. Yes. So since reviewing the formula used to derive emission reductions or project emissions, we noticed that certain parameters that were not covered in the previous version should be added. So here we added the third bullet point on the monitoring parameter and the fourth bullet point, and which is days of cropping season and application rate of fertilizer. Application rate of fertilizer existed before, but we changed the order of the list here. Sorry, so the change here was the days of cropping season. Excuse me. And for the section D, so to clarify what is, the definitions and how we can manage projects under this methodology, we revised or added certain sentences here. And if you look at the criterion 1 at the bottom, we added pilot study case and how this should be taken into consideration. And also at the bottom of criterion 1, since we developed Appendix C for details of how to demonstrate water management in the past 2 years. We added a note saying that please refer to Appendix C for the details. And you go to criterion 2. So this criterion was modified with a sentence at the in the middle. So the first sentence, after the first sentence, we added if the irrigation to be conducted within 2 days after the completion of drainage fails, project participants demonstrate that yield reduction has not resulted in significant difference between the reference and the project field, or has resulted from the causes beyond the reasonable control of the project participants. So here we wanted to make sure the intention of this criterion, and also we would like to add this sentence that in certain cases, for instance, natural disasters or certain events that's beyond the control of project participants should not be taken into consideration when assessing yield reduction. So is to save project participants from certain uncontrollable events. So that's the intention here. And if you scroll down to the bottom of the same criterion, yes, there. Oh, sorry, it's farther down, sorry. Yes, that's the part. So once again, for criterion 2, we added note saying that the project participants should refer to Appendix C for details. Okay. And the criterion 3 has not been changed. And for section E, we made a very minor editorial change. So essentially the meaning hasn't changed here. So I'd like to skip this section. And I'd like to go to section F. Establishment and calculation of preference emissions. And for section F1, again, we did some editorial changes. And so one part that I probably should explain to you is the last sentence, I mean, second from the last sentence in the section F1. And page 5, I think. Yes, there. So second sentence from the last says that CO2 emissions from drainage pumps and irrigation pumps are optional for counting. So we added this optional for counting to I mean, this should have been revised before, but we were going through the entire methodology, and we noticed that this part was left. I mean, wasn't revised to reflect the changes we made for the other sections. So we added optional for counting here. And going to section F2. So for one methane emissions. Second paragraph, sentence of the methane emissions part, frequency and interval of measurements for both 1 and 2 are explained in 3 below. So this one, this sentence, one sentence, sorry, it's up. Yes, there, at the very bottom of the page. No, sorry, it's up. It's page 5, and the last sentence there. Yes, frequency. No, yes, that one. The second sentence, frequency. Yes, that's the sentence that we added. Just make sure that the project participants not only check 1 and 2 below, but 3 as well. And going to direct measurement in the next page. So we added certain phrases or sentences, not the sentences, but the adjectives here, but it's again very minor here. Just to be precise, we added from the second line from the bottom. Yes, there. Down. Yes, there. So we added type and amount of organic amendments. So we, just to be precise, we added type and amount here. And going to the next page. Sorry, one more up. Yes, there. At the bottom of the page, yes. Yes, for parameter ST at the bottom of the page, yes. It used to say that index for stratum ST, but since this is the parameter for ST, so we deleted ST, index for stratum ST. We deleted that part, and then covers all project fields with the same cultivation pattern was the term used before, but we instead cultivation pattern, we used condition here. So that's a minor point, but the changes that we made here. And for, yes, please scroll down to the after the tables we have. There we have a footnote after, yes, next page, next page, sorry, asterisk 2. Yes. Here, we added this footnote saying that if the project site is classified into 2 or more strata, based on type of organic amendments and etc. So to be to clarify, we added this footnote here for clarification. So for two country-specific emission factor combined with direct measurements. We revised here. It's once again editorial change, but project participants select. It used to say more conservative values, but it doesn't have to be conservative. Sometimes it is. You don't have to choose more conservative values always. So we added appropriate or more conservative values to be more precise here. And we did some changes on the third line. Sorry. Same part, yes, sorry. And yes, it used to say that at the end of the first sentence, after the methane emissions in dry season and wet season in the Philippines, we used to say combined with the latest IPCC default scaling factor or direct measurements. So, but we revised here and deleting combined with the latest IPCC default scaling factor. And instead, we deleted that part and added the emission factor derived from direct measurement. So to clarify what we are doing in this section, we sort of revised that sentence here. And if you go, yes, scroll down a little bit, yes, there, you see two formula here, and we added a sentence right after the second formula. This sentence is added. If the emission factor calculated by multiplying the country-specific emission factors and the latest IPCC default scaling factors is selected to be used for reference emissions. So this one is added to further clarify what we were doing here. And if you can go to 3, the frequency and interval of measurement. And, yes, next subsection there. So this is in response to public comments that the methodology itself is not clear enough to distinguish what is the frequency and the timing of measurements. And we did realize the concerns raised by public inputs, and we are suggesting here to use different terminology. It used to say frequency and timing of measurements, but timing has connotation that you measure just once. But so we wanted to express the term, I mean, the period that we want the project participants to measure. So instead of timing, we suggest to use interval here. So during that period, you have to monitor. And I hope this would clarify the intention here further. So for the first line right after the heading, frequency and measurement is conducted at least once a week, and we add it throughout each cropping season in a year, so that you know that you're not required just to measure once, but you have to keep doing that, keep monitoring, measuring throughout the season. And next sentence, we added yearly interval instead of timing to clarify what we are requesting. And the second sentence in the same paragraph, so to reflect the changes we're suggesting here and at the header of the this subsection, we changed the expression at the very last line. I mean the second line from the last, using intervals instead of frequency. So to express the terminology used in the table below, could you go down a little bit, the grammar? Yes. Yes. So the title of the this table, we used to say measurement frequency, but we changed. Yeah. The sorry, you are at the right place. Sorry. Yeah, there. Yes. So the direct measurement, and the table, small table there, says at the top measurement interval, but it used to say measurement frequency. So we changed the term frequency to interval. So to make sure that it's not just once every 1 year or something, but it's rather you have to repeat this process. And so for table B, although that same change was made, measurement frequency was changed to measurement interval. So every so often you have to measure. And N2O emissions right after the table. Yes, we added one sentence similar to the one we used in the methane emissions. Project participants may choose one option from one or two below, just to make sure I may clarify what is requested to project participants here. And for direct measurement, we added one sentence right below the subheading, yes, header. Reference emissions are calculated based on the monitored N2 emissions measured at reference fields in the same manner as the reference CO2, I mean, methane emissions. Just to clarify what is requested here. And yes, could you go down further down? Yes, there. Right, emission factor for fertilizer, yes. And you go down to parameters. Yes. Here, at the bottom of the parameters, we added ST and yes, S parameter ST and S there. Yes, thank you. That was missing there, and we added. And if you go down to the next subheader, frequency and interval, it's the same changes that we did for methane emissions. Instead of using timing, we used the interval here to clarify frequency and timing. And the changes are the same as the methane emissions. So could you go to section D, calculation of project emissions? Yes, there. Similar to the section for reference emissions, we added one sentence after the title, methane emissions. And so these two sentences there were newly added. And for subheader direct measurement, yes, project emissions are calculated, and we inserted based on the monitored methane emissions measured at project field. So this phrase was added to clarify further, and so that's that for the part direct measurement. And please move on to subheader country-specific emission factor. It's there. So once again, we added this paragraph right after the subheader country-specific emission factor. So the whole paragraph there was newly added to clarify what's required under this section. And similar to reference emissions, right after the second formula shown on the bottom of the table, I mean the page, the sentence right after the second formula at the bottom was added. It's the same as the reference emissions section. Thank you. And going on to N2O emissions, is there. Once again, to clarify what's required under this subsection, we added this sentence, first and second sentences, right after N2 emissions. And also we added a sentence right after the direct measurement. This whole, yes, sentence was added. And similar changes were done to the next subheader, emission factor for fertilizer. So the whole sentence there was added. And for parameters shown after the formula, yes, parameter ST and S were added. Okay, and for CO2, yes, we deleted one sentence there, CO2 emissions from other sources such as irrigation pumps are optional to measure. This part, this sentence was deleted here. And for H, section H, yes, could you scroll there? Yes, thank you. So as we change the terminology used for frequency, we instead of frequency we use interval here. So that's the main changes here. And if you go down to the subheader there, the same similar change was done to terminology used for frequency. It was replaced by interval there. Okay, and for section I, you go down to the next page of the section I. Could you go down to the bottom of the table, UD value? Sorry, yeah, there. Once again, as we use interval instead of frequency, we changed expression here for UD-DM and UD-EF. Okay, so that's the main changes we did to the draft methodology. And if you have any questions or comments to the revisions made to the draft methodology, please raise your hand or unmute your mic and speak up, please. You may notice some of the comments that were made during the public consultation process were not taken into consideration as the previous EC meeting. During the previous EC meeting, we have already discussed thoroughly on, for instance, water depths of the rice paddy field. So certain comments were not taken into consideration, and certain comments are reflected to the draft methodology. Yes, Dr. Christine, please.
For the summary of the methodology, the monitoring parameters.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, there's no, I suggest if we could include cropping season. If it is dry or wet season, because, uh, we also use the, checker with two different values, 2.46 for wet season and 1 point something for dry season. So as a reference, should the project developers also say or in what season are they measuring or
I see. I see. Thank you.
valid?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Okay. Let's see. Let us think about your comments because we will after the expert committee approves this draft methodology, we will elaborate spreadsheet Yes, and yes, for days of cropping season, we definitely need for calculation of emission reductions and for certain cases. But cropping season, I mean, I'm trying to think that actual numbers should be needed for calculation of emission reductions. So depending on the way we structure the spreadsheet, we may not need it or we may need it. So let us consult. And yes, if needed, we will reflect your comments. Thank you very much, Dr. Christine. Okay, any other comments, please? Yes, Dr. Jimmy, please.
In addition to what Engineer Christine just said about the number for this parameters,
Yes.
the application rate of fertilizer,
Mhm.
available. How about the type of kind fertilizer?
Okay, type, kind, and type. Okay, so your comment was for the fertilizer application. In addition to what's written on the methodology, kind and type of fertilizer may need to be reflected here. Okay, thank you so much for your comment. Can I ask our expert as well?
For clarification, we should say nitrogen fertilizer. And also we should provide the information which kind of which type. For example, urea or some compound fertilizer should be provided here. So that we can calculate how many nitrogen contained in the fertilizer.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Minamikawa, for your clarification. Dr. Suda, please.
Over fertilizer types description, how do you think of slow release fertilizers?
Coated fertilizer?
ちょっと遅く出てくる。
はい。
Does it popular in the Philippines?
Right now, it's becoming popular, yes, popular.
But in the IPCC guidelines, I understand that guideline does not distinguish the normal typical fertilizer and slow release fertilizer, I think. So that,
So at this moment, we do not care about this distinction.
Seems it's difficult to take into consideration the difference there. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, any other comments or questions? Okay, Dr. please.
In the frequency and interval of measurements, do you have a recommended time of the day? Because it was not stated in the number 3, frequency and interval of measurements.
You're asking if there is a recommended timing or
To define or suggest the recommended time of the day for direct measurements.
yes, we already provided in the appendix A. Please check. A.
Yes. Any other comments or questions? Okay, I see hands in the sorry. Dr. Nia.
Yeah, I think it's the thank you for the analysis effort of the own committee member. It's quite good, but I have the one additional small comments on the creation one. Can you go for the? Okay, so I think because we mentioned here it's about the regime during the cultivation periods. Let's see. For the farmer, so the farmer not included the single or the monthly drainage in the past 2 years. So could we put this as defined about, so that is make it clear what we mean with the single or multiple drainage in the past 2 years, because this is quite ambiguous. Can you hear me?
Yes. Sorry. Could you repeat your comment, please?
Oh, my comment is about, we put it here like a farmer have not conducted single or the multiple drainage as defined about, so they know that's what we mean with the single or the multiple drainage. We define as the AWD. Otherwise, it will be maybe confusing about the what is we mean with drainage.
Okay. Thank you for your comments. Okay, we have the definition sections, and we define the drainage and single and multiple drainages as well there in section B.
Yeah, I know, but we
Yes.
just mentioned here that repeated as we define about. So this is make it clear that what we mean in this section creation.
So you're suggesting that as defined.
Yeah,
is
as defined about.
above. Oh, okay.
Okay.
I see. Thank you. So to clarify, so the definition is already there in the section B. Okay. As defined above. Okay. Could you hold on a second? Okay, Dr. Nia, thank you for your suggestion. We will add as defined, for instance, as defined in section B above. Would that be acceptable?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that is
Thank you
clear
very much.
what we mean. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other comments or questions? Okay, thank you very much for your contribution. Since we don't have any further comments on the draft methodology at the moment, before going into appendices A, B, C, we'd like to take a short break here. And if you come up with additional questions or comments to the draft methodology, you could come back later as well. But I would like to have a break for Okay, we'd like to have break until 2:30 Manila time, so 1:30, I mean 3:30 Tokyo time. Okay, we will come back about 20 minutes later. Well, thank you for your participation and see you again soon. Okay. So we would like to resume our expert meeting. So after the break, we would like to start with appendices A, B, and C. So for the appendices, we'd like to ask the Dr. Minamikawa or sorry, we'd like to explain the appendices A, B, C. So we would like to share the file on the screen. So could you bear with us for a moment? Okay. So as we know that Appendix A is for guidelines for measuring methane and nitrous oxide emissions from rice paddy fields. And yes, after receiving public inputs, we made certain changes to the appendixes as well. And sorry, I'd like to explain that to you. And could you hold on a second? So I'm sorry. Okay. So for Appendix A, we didn't make big changes in comparison with the for instance, Appendix B. But I'd like to briefly walk you through the changes that we made for the Appendix A. For the sorry. Excuse me, my laptop is not reacting. Oh, okay. Yes, there you go. Okay. So we did editorial changes in the first page. So for instance, for the use of the term in the first paragraph, we were using the term approved. In the yes, fourth line of the first paragraph. So it used to say it is necessary that the implementation of methane and NTO measurements by a closed chamber method involves technicians who have been authorized, but it used to say who have been approved. But under the JCM, approval is normally used for methodology. So to avoid the confusion, we use the term authorized instead. And for the second paragraph, we mainly made editorial changes, so I'm not going to the details here. But yeah. So the first page is mainly editorial, and the second page is also editorial change, but for the second row, base material and shape, we did a editorial change for the, yes, thank you. The last sentence, I mean the last sentence of the first paragraph. Yes, it just editorial change, clarifying the requirements meant here. So I'm not going to the details here. And next page, the accessory. Once again, we made a editorial change to clarify, I mean, improve the writing here. And so then contents is not changed here, but rather editorial writing. And next is the going to the next page. In the middle, manual operation. Once again, this part approval was changed to authorization, and we did some editorial changes. So I'm not going to the details here, but so going on to the next page. Yes, we made a footnote at the very bottom to further clarify what's meant here after quality control. Oh. Okay. どう思ってなかったですよ。4ページです。すみません、そうです。Yes. Page 4. Yes. Okay. So, and for the formula, we didn't make changes only for the appearance, editorial changes, not the content based, the way it make it a little readable, more easily readable. So there's not much changes here for the section of formula showing calculation. So for Appendix A, most of the changes are editorial, and the contents haven't been changed. Okay, maybe we could stop here and if you have any comments or clarification, we would like to take it here. If you have any comments, please raise your hand or unmute yourself.
Clarification.
Dr. Christine, yes, please.
For the table A-2 gas sampling for the manual operation. What do you mean by after one measure, the air inside the chamber should be replaced? Or I'm just confused on how it was stated because I don't understand.
Okay. So for clarification, so I think the chamber operator continuously measure one place to another place and then to another place. During the two places, the chamber should, inside the chamber, the air should be replaced and then get to the next place. This is because the inside chamber methane concentration is relatively high compared with the atmosphere. So that gas should be replaced by the ambient air. Without doing this, in the second place, the methane concentration at the first gas sampling is relatively high. This is to avoid this.
contamination.
Do you understand? So
The process of replacing air inside the chamber
uh,
is
You leave the top chamber? You leave?
after
But when you cover the chamber and you get after a few minutes and then you get samples,
sorry, after one measurement, I mean, pressing for 30 minutes or something.
yeah,
After finish,
yes.
we move the chamber to next place.
Okay, so,
During
okay,
inside gas should be replaced by the ambient air
okay.
to the methane concentration within the chamber should be equivalent to the air. This is one technique, but
Clear enough?
Yeah. Could be that I am confused because the one that we are doing, we have three chambers and simultaneously we put the top chamber and we do the sampling for the three chambers. But since this is part, so after 30 minutes and then you remove and then you go to other. Yeah. So this is an actual field year.
so the current is not good to understand this. Please suggest.
Yes, I don't know, but could it be that after one measurement, the top chamber can be moved to another base chamber or another, I don't know how you going to,
Okay,
yes,
we should add
yes,
explanation.
yes, because I can't, if I will read it right away, I can understand the sentence. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Are there any comments, questions? What about online participants? Do you have any comments or questions? Please raise your hand or unmute yourself. Okay. Since we don't see any hands, maybe we could move to Appendix B, and then we can go to Appendix B afterwards, and then after everything is covered, we could come back to the all documents for our consideration at the end. So let's cover Appendix B. So Appendix B is very it hasn't been changed very much, even it compared to Appendix A. It is mostly editorial changes that we made. So yes, it's very much editorial, and not sure if it's worth explaining all of these editorial changes, but so to just give you a sense of what we did is, for instance, I'm sorry, but I'll just show the explain what we did. Yes, please. There. For instance, for the first paragraph at the last line, see also Appendix C. He used to say for how to decide the SWF, but we changed to Appendix C on how to determine. So truly editorial changes. For instance, the next one is the section 1 rice growth stage not to be severely drained. And the first line after the header, rice paddy fields do not need to be continuously flooded to attain sufficient rice yields. And it was changed to flooded, continuously flooded to produce sufficient rice yields. So a very, very editorial. So it doesn't affect any of the contents here. So I'm gonna skip all those editorial changes. And basically, yes, there is no other type of changes we made into this appendix. So just for instance, one more example of what we did here in section 3, timing of implementing single drainage. The first line, he used to say single drainage, cold mid-season drainage, and we, instead of cold, we used known as, be more technical. So what we did here is almost all editorial, as I said. So I'd like to stop here. And if you have any comments or questions, I'd like to take it now. Okay. I'm sure there's not much comments on this one because the contents haven't been changed much. Okay, we can come back to this later, but in the interest of time, I'd like to move on to the next appendix. So appendix C. Okay. For this one, we made little bit of changes. Okay. I'd like to walk you through the changes we did to the appendix C. So for the so one of the large changes that we did here is the addition of section 1. So the whole section 1 is newly added to the appendix C. So as there were questions during the public comment process, it is probably difficult to demonstrate how you could show that the past 2-year practice hasn't been categorized as water management as defined in the methodology. So we added this section. So in order to satisfy criterion 1, project participants need to demonstrate the water management practices over the past 2 years through history assessment with resources such as the following. And based on the last EC meeting, expert committee meeting, and the inputs from the Philippines side, we added some of the references that project participants can use to demonstrate the past practices as listed here. So the whole, this section could be used for demonstrating criterion 1 of the past practices. Okay. And for section 2, I mean, new section 2 used to be section 1. So for clarification, the title of the section at the end of the title of the section, we added for direct measurement under the JCM methodology. I mean, for direct measurements. So we to clarify that you need to do this part only for direct measurement. And for the first paragraph, we added this first sentence as to the direct measurement of methane and N2O under the JSIM methodology, methane emission reductions by water, management in rice field, So we added this to clarify what is required for this section. And moving on to, sorry, the same section. At the very last, after agronomic history for 5 years, and at the last part of the paragraph, yes, that part was newly added, and at least similar environment settings, i.e. topography and soil texture, project participants are required to provide the materials to demonstrate this. So this part was added. And section 3. So the title was modified slightly. It used to say significant rice yield reduction, but we added confirmation of avoidance of significant rice yield reduction. And at the very first sentence of the same section, we added a phrase to demonstrate eligibility criterion 2 of the methodology for maintained rice yield. So this is the part that we added. Okay, and moving on to the next section. Section 4. And for clarity, the title was slightly modified. So it used to say, it used to be water level monitoring, but we added for confirmation of drainage. And for the first sentence, at the very first sentence of the same section, after it is necessary, we added for the project participants to demonstrate the fulfillment of eligibility criterion 2 of the JCM methodology. So this is the part that we added. And so submitting the following to a third-party entity that's in the same sentence. Yes, there. At the time of verification. Yes, until there. This is also added. And so in the next line, right after the highlighted lines right now, the second line below the handwritten or digital logbook in the, yes, there. This also, I mean, sorry, logbook was there already, sorry, but the digital, handwritten or digital was added so that project participants have more choices regarding the their record of data. So, and moving down to, let's move to let's see. after table C1A, after that table, at the bottom, yes, could you move down to the bottom of table C1A? There's a footnote. Yes, there. Yes. Could you scroll down a little bit? Yes, there. In multiple drainage, the project participants cannot start counting the days of water level until the project is flooded by irrigation after the completion of previous drainage. The examples are shown in the table C1B. So this paragraph was added to clarity of what the project participants are required. And after that, this table C1B. Okay, this was added to clarify multiple drainage combining minus 50 centimeters. It's there. This table was added to clarify. And moving down to next section. Yes, there are 5 calculation of methane and N2 emission reductions by direct measurement. So this section was added to clarify calculation of methane and N2 emission reductions, especially with direct measurement. So this explains how project participants can do it. And yes, this whole section until table C2 was added for further clarification. Yes. And let's move to section 6. Here, we didn't make big changes here. It's more of a editorial changes we did here. For instance, the title, it used to say calculation of methane emission reductions by the IPCC default IPCC factors only. So we added IPCC default scaling factors to be compatible or with expressions used in the methodology and other documents. So the similar changes were done to be aligned with the methodology. So more of editorial changes in section 6. And if you go down to could you scroll down a little bit?
Yes.
After that table, there, Sorry, could you scroll down a little bit more? There. Yes. Sorry. Could you go a little bit up? Yeah, there. You went too far, sorry. After the formula, I mean the parameters, yes, that, there, the lower, there. And little more down, that starting from the lower and upper limits of 95%. Okay, and this part was added to show that the same procedure applies to the calculation of 95% confidence interval of emission factor. And error ranges and etc. So to be more precise or give a clearer instructions. Okay, sorry, it's little down. Sorry. Yeah, there. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's the section that from the same procedure applies to calculation of 95% CI of EF. The asterisk, the original error range provided to year 2, etc. That's the part that we added. Yes, there until yes. Yeah, 4 lines down. Starting from there until EFCH4, blah, 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 and you have the emission factors. So these are added for clarity. And for section 7, we made only editorial changes here. And for section 8, we also made editorial changes here. Very minor ones. And for section 8, we didn't have any change there. Okay, so these are the all changes that we made for Appendix C. So compared to other appendices, we made quite a bit of changes here. So if you have any comments or questions, please raise your hand or unmute yourself and speak up. Dr. Jimmy, please.
On page 1, then C, number 3, first sentence. 6 representative is problem. If now mention the area in the building sentence, and we say direct saving system, mention the area. So, do we need to mention the area also, like when we do experiments, we do the crop cut, like 5 square meter?
Question. Actually, we didn't assume the experimental area in one field. As we mentioned about the harvesting area and chamber placement area only. So I think we don't need to set the experimental area in one field. But do you think should we?
Yeah.
set
So when we select the 6 representative fields in each stratum, when we select one field, one representative field, we don't need to mention how much is the area to do the yield sampling.
Because we assume each field should have a typical common area, common size, field area size. I think it depends on the press by press. So that we didn't define the area of each representative field. But for the measurement area, for example, rice yield and chamber placement area, we should define, for example, for direct seeding, 1.5 filter, or for transplanting system. We didn't set the area, but instead set the number of hills by plants.
There's no number of hailstones. Okay. Yeah, and another one, when we do the computation, we just said the same moisture content. And we're not going to set the standard like 14% moisture content.
Yes, that's the first sentence in the second page. Hardware when you with the same moisture content needs to be measured. Sorry, we can define the exact value, for example, 14 or 15%. But it depends on the situation. For example, we usually use 14 in Japan, but same.
Yes.
Same. But I know in other country, for example, they use 50. So that we didn't define the value, but should use the same should be converted to the same moisture content as a conventional one. Okay, we should modify. Add some, yeah. Should we say 14%?
Yes,
Yeah, 14.
14% for the Philippines.
Okay.
You don't know.
Okay. Okay, we will modify here.
Thank you very much. Since this is the methodology for the Philippines, we could specify the number. I understand. Okay, thank you. Okay. Any other comments or questions? Any other comments from the online participants? If not, if you don't have any specific questions or comments to the Appendix C, we can reopen questions and comments session for all the appendices and the methodology as well. However, let me consult here among the Secretariat. Okay, since we don't seem to have any more comments or clarifications on the Appendix C, we would like to reopen our discussion for other appendices. And if any, we could go back to the methodology as well. So, any comments or questions?
So today, some comments are provided from the Christian Jimmy and also from online. So we will modify appropriately. But do you need the approval of this modification, or this is just
Yes, as we did in the last expert committee, if the expert committee members would like to delegate the work of editorial changes of the methodology and all the appendices before, delegate the work to the Secretariat to go through all the documents once again, and then check the writing and editorial. Maybe we would do editorial changes at the last moment if it's fine or acceptable to you. We would like to consider these documents as approved or adopted as of today, and the Secretariat will work on the further refinement, fine-tuning of the documents. If this proposal is acceptable, or if not, if it's not acceptable, please raise your hand. Okay. So we can take it as yes to delegate the work of final fine-tuning of the documents to the Secretariat. Okay, thank you very much. So the methodology and all the appendices are adopted by the expert committee. Okay, thank you very much for your cooperation. Okay, so with that, I'd like to move to the next agenda item. Way forward and conclusion. No, we'd like to show a slide on the screen. So could you bear us with us for a few moments? Okay. Yes. So way forward. So expected schedule for methodology development. So now we finalized the discussion on the draft methodology today at EC5 meeting. So now we'd like to fine-tune all the remaining tasks or issues that are raised today, as well as certain editorial changes that we think it might be needed, and reflect all those changes. And the proposed, draft methodology will be submitted to the joint committee of the JCM between the Philippines and Japan. And that methodology will be reviewed by the Joint Committee Secretariat. And if there's no major issues, then that methodology will be put on public consultation process again. So, but that's official JCM process. And that will be, the methodology and all the appendices will be posted on the JCM website for public consultation. And that will be for the period of 15 days. And after 15 days, it will be discussed among the joint committee members of the JCM. And if there are no major issues, the Secretariat will transform the draft methodology into approved methodology format. And that will be put on the JCM website for the use by project participants. And we could, as mentioned, throughout this expert committee meetings, we could modify or upgrade the methodology by proposing a revision of the methodology if we find any issues with the approved methodology. I'm sure we will, after the road testing of the methodology, we will find certain issues that should be taken into consideration. So we might do that in the future. Okay, so that's for the Philippines methodology. And as for the Vietnamese methodology, based on the methodology that we developed through 5 EC meetings, we will develop a draft methodology for specifically for Vietnam. So we will do certain studies, as Dr. Nia mentioned. Certain conditions are different in Vietnam, so we need to take into consideration the country-specific issues into the methodology. And we might have the additional EC meetings, maybe through online, or if needed, maybe face-to-face. But after the consideration and with the EC meetings, once again, we will submit a draft methodology in accordance with the JCM procedures. And the same procedure will be taken to have approval on the methodology under the Vietnamese JCM as well. But this, once again, depends on the national circumstances of Vietnam, as they are discussing their own domestic regulations. So we need to follow their domestic regulations. And based on that consideration, the timeline will be discussed and decided. However, this process will be done towards 2025, and depending on the regulation, maybe we need to wait until 2026, but hopefully earlier, that we can process with the official procedure of the JCM. Okay. So, of course, throughout the consultation on the Vietnamese methodology, we will discuss closely with the Vietnamese participants, country officials and experts as well. Okay, with that, I'd like to conclude my way forward agenda item. And yes, please, Jimmy.
What about that June 28 MVD?
The ceremony or
The ceremony
briefing.
didn't mention in the way forward, but we will have the how can I say the event for mainly for Japanese media on June 28. So as I said, the purpose is for Japanese media. Explanation to the Japanese media.
Okay, thank you very much for reminding us of the event. Okay, so any other comments or additional information from the floor? No? Okay. So we went through all the agenda items, and now we would like to come to the end of the session. However, we need to. Oh, okay.
I'm here.
Sorry, Mr. Kimura.
Can you hear me? No.
Sorry, Mr. Kimura. Could you give us the closing remarks? Thank you very much.
Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry, something wrong with connection internet. Anyway, first of all, I'd like to congratulate expert committee members and the Secretariat and JMAFF and Government of Philippine colleagues for adopting this draft methodology of JCM application to AWD technology in the Philippines. And really thanks all the effort made by the experts and as well as support provided by Secretariat. And really, although ADB ourselves are not necessarily technical expert, but we are very much pleased to host this expert committee meeting and participate in discussion and learning from your experience. So it was there's a very clear explanation of way forward, and this draft methodology will be submitted in joint committee, and we will discuss again and made it more public comments again. So really thanks all the effort made by the committee member, and congratulations again for the adoption of draft methodology. So but we looking forward to have more discussion and the another methodology in Vietnam and elsewhere, and eventually we really hope this will be one of the most important instruments for ADB to extend this AWD technology and low carbon technologies to rise production across the Asian Pacific. So with that, thank you very much, and wish you a very good afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kimura, and thank you everyone for participating in this meeting. As Mr. Kimura mentioned, we finally adopted the methodology and all the appendices. Thank you very much. The meeting is closed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Forget to